people love to hate on Google phones. And part of it's probably Google's fault. I mean, they haven't always made the best of everything. There's a lot of people that have criticized the decision to move over from Snapdragon to the Tensor chip. And I get that. I've had some frustrations too. But the Tensor G3 and this phone, I think, has finally made that step to where a lot of this experience is very seamless, it's painless. The battery life seems okay. I'm not having any heat issues. The standby time is significantly improved. And it's funny because there's so many comments I get. And I've talked to other creators about this too. And we're getting a lot of negative comments about the Tensor chip itself. I see them every single day, multiple times. Oh, it's just a crappy Exynos chip. It's a 3-year-old chip. It can't keep up. It's not powerful enough. It's a mid-tier processor. All these. And it's none of those things. So this is the new flagship Tensor chip, Tensor G3, made in cooperation between Google and Samsung. So Google's like, we want it to do this, this, and this, and then Samsung builds it because Samsung, they make chips. They're one of the biggest chip makers in the world. It is not an Exynos chip. It's not a rebranded Exynos chip. I challenge you, go out and find an Exynos chip that has 9 cores in it. The Tensor G3, it has 9 cores. It has the one primary core, which is now at 3 gigahertz, and then it has 8 other cores, 4 mid-tiers and 4 low-end cores. So it's designed wholly around what Google wants, and then it has the Tensor processing unit that's unique to this phone. So there's a lot of stuff that I think people fundamentally misunderstand because everyone just thinks that it's a rebranded Exynos chipset, and it's not. It is a customized chipset made for Google, and it's not 3 years old, and it's not as bad as a 3-year-old processor. And someone's like, oh, it's only as good as a Snapdragon 8 Generation 1. Okay. When you look at straight up benchmarks, yes, it is about the performance of a Snapdragon 8 Generation 1. But it is a brand new chip, and it is a brand new chip that has an extra core in it that's also got the Tensor processor that's also completely customized to run Google's version of Android on their phone for all the machine learning and AI stuff. And it's funny because everyone's like, oh, it's not as good. Look, the Snapdragon 8 Generation 2 really isn't a whole lot fundamentally different than the Snapdragon 8 Generation 1, except it has better battery life and less heat problems. This phone has better battery life and less heat problems as the Snapdragon 8 Generation 1. And it's very powerful. 3 gigahertz. I don't know what more we need here. Like 3 gigahertz. It's funny because everybody was complaining about the Pixel 5 when it came out. Me too. Because we went from like a Snapdragon 845 to the back step to the Snapdragon 765. And everybody's like, what's going on? And really the Pixel 5 was just a filler phone that we needed until we got the Tensor chip and the Pixel 6. But the funny thing is a lot of people really love the Pixel 5. It was a great phone. And when you look at things fundamentally, when you have the power of the Snapdragon chip or a Tensor G3, you've got 3 gigahertz and a processor. That's a lot. That's like as powerful as a desktop PC. So when you want to do something on this phone, one of the things that's really been remarkable to me is that this phone feels seamless. And I just got done doing a podcast with Painfully Honest Tech. I've been a co-host on there a lot lately. If you haven't seen that, go check out Painfully Honest Tech in the podcast section. You'll see me co-hosting. I've done it like the last 4 weeks. And we talk about a lot of stuff. And we were talking about our experiences with the Pixel 8 Pro because I really like it. And he was like going to take his back, which I understand. He likes the iPhone stuff. Y'all guys and gals know I'm not a big iPhone fan. But I will say, I want to say something positive here about the iPhone. The iPhone 15 Pro Max, which I'm recording with right now, has probably been the best iPhone experience that I've ever had. I've really enjoyed this phone, and it's funny, I've been using it side by side with the Pixel 8 Pro. I've got a SIM card in both of them. I carry both of them around. I'm not wearing the Apple Watch Ultra and the Pixel Watch 2 at the same time. Like, I can't do that in public. But when I've been using both of them, the nice thing to me is the experience has been seamless. Like I could pick up one or pick up the other one, and it doesn't matter. Twitter loads just as well. My YouTube Creator Studio loads just as well. YouTube loads just as well. Boom Beach, text messages, whatever. They work interchangeably for me where I don't notice a difference. And that's, to me, is the biggest seal of approval for this new chip because there's always been something. There's always been something that's taken out of the experience. And I made a tweet about this the other day saying, I wish that the Pixel Fold had the Tensor G3. I said this when it came out. I was very vocal about this. I thought I was going to, it's funny, every year I think I'm going to get kicked off at Team Pixel because I'm very critical of a lot of the decisions that they make. But I thought that the Pixel Fold, especially for the price tag, they should have waited another month or two, put the Tensor G3 in it. It would have been so good. So that it gives me a lot of excitement to think about a possible Pixel Fold 2 maybe next summer with the Tensor G3 in it. But by then, of course, the chip's almost a year old. Then we have that other argument. So looking at the phone, though, I have really enjoyed it. The screen is beautiful. The camera's top notch. It takes some really good photos. I mean, when you take a look at the Pixel photos, they're the most natural representation of what I'm trying to take a picture of, and it does it in a stunning manner. So everything that I was worried about with this phone, all the boxes that it needed to check, all came down to the Tensor G3. Battery, heat, standby time, and the cell signal. And all four of those areas seem like they've been markedly improved to the point where I'm like, all right, I think this is good. And that's why I made a video saying, is the Pixel 8 Pro worth buying? Because a lot of people ask those questions, and a lot of you trust in my opinion on how I test these phones and how I use them and what I think about them, especially since I cover them so routinely. And I feel comfortable saying, yes, if you don't want an iPhone, if you want an Android phone and you want an alternative to iPhone, you want an alternative to Samsung, this is it. I think it's a good phone. And I think that if you pick one up, you'll probably enjoy it. And it's funny because I've seen a lot of comments from folks. This is probably the most positive comments that I've gotten from folks who have picked up the phone who are like, I really, really like it. I've had one or two people who are like, it's not for me, not crazy about this, I'll stick to this phone, maybe I'll try again next year. That happens with every phone. But the frustrating thing is all the comments about the processor, one, from people who probably don't have the phone, and people don't know anything about it. And that's why I like to make these educational and informational videos. I made a video a few days ago talking exactly about the Tensor G3, how it works, why the benchmarks don't matter, and how good of a processor it is on performance basis. And that stuff holds up. And of course, things are going to get more optimized as we go along. And some people are like, well, I was having a problem with this app. Look, that's not necessarily the chip. That's because your app developer probably didn't optimize it for Android 14 yet. So you're going to run into some of those snafus here and there. The same thing happens with iOS whenever other stuff comes out. Usually it takes about 2 or 3 months once a new operating system version comes out for everything. Like, you're not going to have any hiccups. But I haven't experienced that. All my apps have been running the way they're supposed to. It's nice, it's responsive, it's quick. The modem for me has been great when I've been out and about. Battery life has lasted me all day. And when you take a look at all those factors and say, okay, is this phone worthwhile? Yeah. And I think they did a really good job with the Tensor G3. I've really been enjoying the experience, and it's been the most seamless experience that I've had in using a Pixel phone in recent memory. Like, normally the new Pixel phone comes out and I'm like, oh my gosh, the sucker's hot, the battery life sucks, it's draining battery, I lost 20% overnight, this is not doing that, this is crashing, and I just haven't had those experiences, and it's been really nice. The only thing that hasn't been really nice is dealing with a lot of the comments. I'm like, look, simmer down, it's not all about the benchmarks. There are ways that this phone excels over a Samsung or an Apple phone. A lot of it has to do with the AI and machine learning and stuff like that. And that's the big emphasis. But at base value, it's a very, very enjoyable phone experience. And I think they did a good job with the chip. And it'll be more exciting in the future because in 2 years, people won't have that complaint anymore. Because next year is the last year they're going to use Samsung. 2025 is supposed to be the first year they work with TSMC, which is a better, higher quality maker of chips. So I'm excited where the future is going with this, but I think that they finally did a good job with this one, and I don't really have any complaints so far. So that's all I got in this video, but yeah, I give up on this whole trying to explain things to people. Like, I've got the videos. If you want to believe it, believe it. If you don't want to believe it, that's your prerogative too. But no, it's not a 3-year-old chip. It's not based off of a Samsung Exynos. It's not outdated. It's not underpowered. It's not mid-tier. It does a lot of stuff. It's a very powerful chip. Again, 3 gigahertz and 9 cores instead of 8. And it's good. So that's all I got in this video. I'm going to sign off. But if you have any questions or comments, please, of course, go to the comment section. We can hash this out. I've still remembered to use the blue lights for the blue Pixel phone. So that's cool. And yeah, if you like the Pixel videos, if you enjoy this stuff, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys next time.